Today, we're going to introduce the cell membrane. So that's lesson 3.4. If you were absent, I just want to remind students we're continuing to work on the egg lab, and we also created a folder to keep our tests in today. So please check the basket when you get back. Just a reminder, there is a Google website for this biology course. If you click on this link, for example, this lesson on 3.4, will actually take you to the Google site. And there's a reminder of where the reading is to do some extra practice, a labeled picture of the cell membrane, chapter sections for cell transport, and then a ton of different animations. Again, if you're just struggling with something in class, it might just help just to take a few minutes and watch a different video or go through a different animation. This really does require some repetition. So in the packet, if we take a look, I wanted to show you this. Students completed this graphic organizer. So if you are going to take the time to do that, pause the video now. And in a second, I'm going to show the answers. So go ahead and pause the video and fill this in. And here are the correct answers for the this cell graphic organizer. So going into the cell membrane. So cellular transport is the idea of movement of molecules into and out of cells through the cell membrane. This is lesson 3.4. Yesterday we talked about some terminology referring to the outside of the cell. That region is extracellular. Inside of the cell where the cytoplasm is going to be is intracellular. On both sides, this cytoplasm and this cellular fluid out here is made up primarily of water. So some other nicknames for the cell membrane: the plasma membrane, phospholipid bilayer, fluid mosaic, semi-permeable. The fluid mosaic, one of the main things is that a fluid means it's movement, and mosaic means there's different pieces. So you can see this colorful representation of the cell membrane is not just two layers of lipids. The main component is this lipid bilayer. So bi meaning two. So you see here's your phospholipid head, your tails, and the phospholipid heads are actually pointing out towards the outside of the cell and pointing towards the inside of the cell. It's the tails that are backing up against each other. And we're going to take a closer look at what can get through, because this head is going to be water loving and these tails are water fearing. So what's going to happen is if this is a non-polar region in here, so things aren't going to necessarily get through easily if they have a charge, or if they are polar. So that's where you have these other pieces that come into play, the protein channels, and these are this pinkish purple. And if you see a protein that goes the whole way through, we say that it's an integral protein. If you see it just kind of on the outside, it's known as a peripheral protein. Attached to some of these proteins are carbohydrate chains, so they're in blue. Now I want to remind you, glyco means carbohydrate, it means sugar. And if this carbohydrate chain is attached to a protein, we call it a glycoprotein. Right here, we drew a carbohydrate chain, and that's attached to the lipid, so it's called a glycolipid. Regardless, these glycolipids and glycoproteins, they're used to recognize, kind of like a fingerprint, to say you belong. So if something belongs into the cell, or if it's another cell that belongs up against the cell, these carbohydrate chains are involved in that. It's a really important concept in biology called cell communication or cellular recognition. We just don't get in depth into that topic in this course, but we do in AP biology if you're interested. Another part of the cell membrane is cholesterol. And so I kind of drew that in green here. Cholesterol is another lipid type molecule, and cholesterol is going to kind of keep this lipid bilayer together. So it keeps enough space that things can still get through, but keeps it compact so that it doesn't loosely fall apart. So for a homework assignment, I gave out this front page, and it has a really large word bank to try to fill in just a different looking model of the plasma membrane. and just a few questions about that you may need to Google the answers to figure out what they are, to learn a little bit more about why certain membranes have more cholesterol than others, and just kind of gives you a little bit of an investigation piece here. So you can use Google for this. And again, use kind of the notes that we talked about in class to try to fill in the boxes. And we'll go over those answers on Monday.